today's Talkin with TC, our special guest is the founder, chairman, and CEO of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, an organization founded to honor Stephen Siller, who was tragically killed on 9/11, and the brother of our guest. It's an honor to welcome Frank Siller to this very special Talkin with TC. Frank, welcome to the Terry Collins Show.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Frank, thanks for coming on. I know you've got a busy schedule, and I hope that we don't take up a lot of your time, but I think it's important for the fans that watch the show to really have an understanding of, what your foundation is like, your organization, and how it's got started, what it's about, and, what in the near future are some of the exciting things you have going.
Well, thanks for having me on here. My brother Stephen, first, I want to make it clear, was maybe the biggest Met fan that you could possibly imagine. He was a crazy fan. If we were sitting all the way up, or he was sitting all the way up with my brother, one of my brothers, he'd be screaming down like they could hear him at the field, on the field level. So he was quite a character. But he loved the Mets, and we miss him terribly. So my brother, on September 11, 2001, was going to play golf, actually, with myself, my brother George, my brother Russ, and he heard on the radio scanner what happened. And he went back to his firehouse, got his gear, because he was just finished his night tour in Squad 1 in Brooklyn. And he got his gear, went to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. It was closed for security reasons. So he strapped 60 pounds of fire gear on his back and ran through that tunnel. Now, most people, you've been through it. Most of us have been through that tunnel. It's almost 2 miles long. And came out the other side, up West Street, and went into what we believe the South Tower. It was never recovered, but other firefighters from Squad 1 were recovered in the South Tower. And you would want to fight this fight with people you trained with. So while saving people, gave up his life. And so we started to do the Tunnel to Towers Foundation in his honor and his memory, and to remember his legacy. Now, what we've been doing is we take care of every catastrophically injured service member in America. You gave your body for your country. We're going to build you a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home for you. And that goes for first responders as well. And we take care of every first responder in the country who die in the line of duty. Police officer, firefighter, could be FBI, CIA, Border Patrol, any first responder. Those people who protect us, they give their kids a kiss goodbye and they don't come home, we're going to pay off their mortgage if they die in the line of duty. And now we made a promise. Actually, it was the last Veterans Day. I'm on our TV, and I made a promise that we're going to eradicate homelessness amongst our veterans. I know, Terry, you recently at one of our groundbreakings that we just did in Bradenton, Florida, and it's emotional. There are so many homeless veterans out there. And it's unacceptable in our country to have one homeless veteran. Forget about the 50,000 plus.
Frank, during that ceremony in Bradenton, one of the, I believe he's a state senator, former Green Beret who was wounded. I thought one of the statements he made during his comments where, homeless and veteran will never exist in the same sentence again. And I thought that was a wonderful way to put it out there that, what's going on. And, when I first heard about Tunnels to Towers, I was doing some stuff with the Mets, and I actually was talking to Pete Alonso, and I know Pete signed on when he first got to the big leagues. This was one of his things. And, I really didn't know a lot about it until John started to talk about it this past spring. So I went out to spring training and, did a couple of PSAs to talk, but then I started paying attention to it all. And I will tell you what, I work out here in Port St. Lucie with two FDNY guys who are at Ground Zero, who are, they can work out, they're not indisposed, but they really have a lot of health issues. And I will tell you, to the man, to this day, if something happened in New York or down here, these two guys would be the first guys on the scene, disregarding any of their incapacities they have now due to the injuries or the health stuff. It is just what it is. And so, I'm amazed at what it took for you to be able to create this. And I'm sure you're overwhelmed with, mail and letters from people around the country. But, what you've done so far. I think for me, because I do travel a lot, and I spend a lot of time. I don't get too caught up in politics, but we got to bring the country back together somehow. And I think what you do is helping that along.
Well, thank you. And I agree. Look, I go all around the country as well, Terry, and I see the goodness of America. I see all these people who have joined us on our mission to make sure that we take care of these great heroes or their families that are left behind. It's an incredible journey that we've been on. We can't do it without the kindness and the generosity of Americans. I mean, we ask people to donate $11 a month. You said Pete Alonso before. Pete, when he won the home run derby, he gave us $50,000 of his home run derby money, which is tremendous. He did the PSAs like you've done the PSAs. It's a big help. Getting the message out is an important part of people understanding the work that we do. So I can't thank you enough, or Pete and so many others. We just did one with Joe Torre and Mike Piazza, and we have others. We have Dennis Quaid, we have Mark Wahlberg, Cole Hauser, and so many others that have joined us on our mission. And that's how we get the word out there. So the fire department, and you brought up the fire department, they're all my buddies. Most of them, I probably know those two guys. If not, I know they're friends. They have a saying that many hands makes light work. I know they didn't make that up, but it certainly is used in the firehouse and the fire department. And we as people donate $11 a month. That's not asking too much, right? Go to t2t.org, $11 a month. Most people can afford that. And bringing the many people together, this is how we get the work done. This year alone, Terry, 6,500 homeless vets off the street, getting them the services, the wraparound services they need to assimilate back into society. It's incredible. I bought 15 hotels in different cities all across America where homelessness is prevalent mostly because of the weather, California, Florida, and all different Arizona, Nevada. We bought these properties because that's where they concentrate because all year long they're outside. And you're right. The word homelessness and veterans should not be in the same sentence. And we're going to make sure that we do eradicate, always taking care of those other great heroes that we promised to begin with.
So I know I signed on for this. You have an event coming up. You may call it a race. I'm just going to call it a run because at my age, I don't race anymore.
You could call it a walk if you want.
Well, I am going to run it. I am going to run, but don't break out your stopwatch and try to time me anymore. I can tell you. So tell me about some of the events you have coming up. I know you've got the run. I would love our people to hear about it. I actually have got, because of the show John and I do, we've been talking about. I did a podcast yesterday afternoon with Jay Horowitz of the Mets. The first subject he wanted to talk about was Tunnel to Towers and what you're doing. And so tell us about some of the other events coming up in the near future.
Well, like I said, this coming Sunday in New York, we have 40,000 people. You'll see 40,000 people retracing what my brother did 23 years ago, running through that tunnel. But the beautiful part about it, Terry, and I'm going to, so you know how you blow up a movie and you say, oh, it's unbelievable. Go to this movie. It's the greatest movie. And somebody goes, it was okay. This is the only event in America that I could tell you that you have no idea. You have no idea what you're coming to. Because when you come into that tunnel, you're going to see the faces of all the great first responders who died on 9/11, held by banners by other firefighters. Could be a brother, could be a father, could be a son, holding their pictures of their loved one, shoulder to shoulder with an American flag, with West Point Cadet, 2,500 West Point Cadets running cadence through the tunnel. We have the Marines. We have everything, every branch of the Army service that run through that tunnel. Cops from all over the country come and run in their gear, and most certainly firefighters. But after you see these shoulder to shoulder, all these pictures of the 400 plus first responders who died on 9/11 and the 2,977 names who died on 9/11, you're going to see 7,000 names of our men and women who died on the global war on terror. Over 7,000 names. And they're held by ROTC. High school kids are holding it because we want the next generation to be ready to step up. And so it's almost a mile long of people standing for with the names or pictures of those who made the ultimate sacrifice. But then you come on the block on Vesey Street, and you're going to see a big street fair. And as we feed all these great people who just did the run, I call it the miracle of the loaves and fishes, because we have so many volunteers that feed all these people, and we have Tyler Hubbard, who's going to be there from Georgia, Florida line, who'll be singing, entertaining us this year. Dennis Quaid is going to come. He's going to say a few words. We always have the top military, police, fire commissioners, all that stuff. People show up. That's one thing. You know, we have the celebrity golf outing, which I believe you're coming to.
I am.
On October 15th. And could you answer your email, please, for my assistant? She says she haven't answered her email. She doesn't know. She wants to take care of a couple of things. Maybe I should have said that off camera.
I'm trying to decide. You know, this course is a big course. I'm trying to decide: do I stay in New Jersey? Do I stay in Manhattan? So I'm trying to get it all worked out. So, yeah.
Well, anyway, so that's October 15th. We have unbelievable celebrities. Andy Pettit is coming. David Wells, John Franco. John comes the last couple of years. John has been coming to help us, and John's been helping the Tunnel to Towers Foundations long before most anybody. Years and years ago, he has helped us. So, you know, we have over 150 golf outings across America that people put on for us. We have over 100 runs and climbs across America. People, once again, go to t2t.org and look at all the things that go on. And believe it or not, we have nearly 3,000 events that people do fundraisers for us, that people put on their own individual fundraisers and hand us a check and say, here, you know, this is, I brought my community together. We raised this and make sure this goes towards catastrophically injured service member, towards their home, or to a fallen first responder. You know, we just lost a police officer several months ago out in Massapequa, Jonathan Diller, who was shot, you know, when he approached the two thugs that was sitting in the car, and they just got out and they just shot him dead. And he had a little baby left behind, his wife, Stephanie, who was, she's an incredible human being herself. You know, so, you know, they might say, you know, I want to go to fallen first responders, whatever the donation they want go towards, we do that. So we have so many events that people want to get involved. You can. We have tens and tens of thousands of volunteers all across the country that help us, that show up. Those 500 plus people you said, how many people turned out at Bradenton in Florida there when we did the groundbreaking? They're all volunteers that help us on so many different things. They're just such a big part of our foundation. Anywhere we go, we're blessed that we have so many people that have joined us.
Yeah, that's great. You know, I had up here in Port St. Lucie, I belonged to a golf course here, and I told him I was going up I was taking a check to Officer Diller's family, and the detectives were having a meeting in Queens, and so they asked me to attend the meeting. And so, sure enough, all my golf buddies chipped in, and you know, so wish we could have been a lot more money, but we took anyway something up to said just to let them know that we got their backs, you know, that they're appreciated in what they do. And all my time in New York, you know, I lived in Long Island City in New York, and I always knew no matter what happened, felt safe walking the streets of Long Island City because people knew who I was, and there was, you know, those policemen looked out for me unbelievably. So, you know, I try to do the best I can to make sure every time I'm in New York, I have two undercover policemen who are in Times Square who I take to lunch all the time, and then they come down to Florida and I take them golfing, and I tell you, we have so much fun, and they have, you know, those guys, what they have to go through on a daily basis is amazing. So I'm glad there's associations and foundations like the ones you have that take care of these people, because it's a job that certainly I would never do, not in a million years. So they need to be protected. So I think it's great what you're doing. And I just hope when you're ready to coach again that I can get you on that field in New York. You know, we got a lot pretty exciting now going on in what's going on with the Mets. So we got to get you back involved with that.
Absolutely. My grandson was there the other day with my son, you know, a big win. They were there when they beat the Yankees. So it was another a big win. So, yeah, let's hope they do well. It's incredible the season they're having. But I want my grandson to meet you one day, sir.
Anytime. Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you at the ride. You're going to be you. So how am I going to find you? Because I'm not, Frank. The one thing I don't want to do is get trampled.
We're gonna listen, Terry.
you know.
I'm gonna put you up front with the service members and the families that we've helped. That's the early start. If you want to start early, I'll talk to you
Yeah, for
about
sure.
where to start and stuff.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
no, we'll put you where you're safe. But you're right. When you're in that tunnel, you see the amount of people in there. Stay to the right. You know how the slow cars stay to the right?
Yeah.
Stay to the right and you'll be safe.
Frank, I will tell you this, to be honest, about 15 years ago, I was an avid runner. I ran to 8, 9 miles a day.
Wow.
And then I got hurt, and then I started managing back in the big leagues. And the time you don't have that kind of time anymore. So I've really backed off. So I've been training ever since told John I was going to try to run the race. I've been training. So I'll get back into it. I know I can run that far. It's just a matter of.
You look like you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah, I don't. The one thing I'm not going to do either. I'm not going to be carrying 60 pounds on my back. I can tell you that.
That's right. Well, when you're in that tunnel, there'll be no belly aching because you'll think about what firefighters were doing that day, and you'll say to yourself, "Oh no, let me just keep it zipped and go ahead and do it." You'll be inspired, sir. Even you would be okay, even if you weren't inspired, but you will be inspired, and your spirit will carry you through without a doubt, no question about it. And I can't thank you enough for joining us. You know, next week and for and being a part of us.
Well, I'm going to turn it back over to John because I know he's got questions for himself and probably fan questions. So, John, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Terry. And Frank, this run has grown incredibly since you first started it. And I believe, was it the first large event that you did in honor of your brother?
Yeah. So we didn't know what we were going to do as a foundation, how we were going to fund it, or we wanted to do something very special. So we started to, my brother was the youngest of 7 kids. He was our little brother. So he is closest in age with me. He was 14 years younger than me. And my oldest brother was 24 years older than him. So, and a lot of them in between. So he was our little miracle. So when we lost him, we wanted to do something very special, plus my parents had both died by the time he was 10 years old. So my brother Stephen was orphaned at a young age, and his older siblings, we raised him. He was blessed that he had much older siblings. So it was a tremendous loss for our family. He was as much a son to us as he was a brother. And but we wanted to do something very special to recognize the sacrifice that he made. And one day, a friend of his, Billy Codd, called me up and he said, "Frank, I know you're thinking about what you're going to do to help fund or recognize and remember Stephen." He goes, "How about if we have a run?" I said, "Billy, we thought of a run, we thought of a gala, we thought of a golf outing. We want to do something unique. And he goes, No. I don't mean any run. How about if we do the run that he made?" I couldn't talk. I couldn't answer him. He said, Are you still there, Frank? You still there?" I couldn't talk. I was overcome because when you hear the right thing, you have no choice but to do it. And right then and there, I said, "Oh, this is the thing to do." So we had 1,500 people, maybe 2,000 people the first year. And now we do have 40,000 people. And we probably could have more if I really wanted to, but 40,000 is a good number. That come and it's not a race. It's not a race. It's a remembrance of all these great heroes. But from the very first year, we made sure that we had the flags of every first responder who died on 9/11. We knew to include everybody. So the beauty of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, but most certainly the run, is that we have 1,000 teams, 1,000 teams of different families that are running in honor of their loved one. And I love that. That is the beauty of this because it recognizes all these other sacrifices that were made that day.
Yeah, we were touched by the video, and we played on the show here a few weeks back of the run from 2 years ago. and how incredible that production was, with the pageantry and the first responders and the kids and the bands and the people watching. And when Terry made the announcement that he was going to participate, I was like, "You're going to run it?" And he was like, "I'm going to do it." And it was just kind of like this groundswell of people, rooting Terry on and getting awareness of the foundation. But this event is such a huge part of that remembrance for your brother and for everyone on that day. But it also has expanded. And granted, the event in September in New York City is the largest run, but these have now expanded across the country. When I go to your website and I see the different states and cities and towns that are doing their own runs in honor of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, it's everywhere now, Frank.
It is. And another beautiful thing about it, who goes and sometimes not MCs them, but goes and speaks at them, are the families that we've been helping. They want to pay it forward to the next family. It's incredible to watch. Every I'd say every single one of them. Like if we reach out, we don't ask anybody. We don't say we helped you, so I need you to do A, B, C, and D. No, we don't do that. But they all say they want to give back. They want to help the next family. Like when detectives Lou and Ramos were assassinated December 20th, 2014, right? It's going to 10 years. Lou and Ramos here in New York. If you remember, the two police officers that were sitting in the squad car in Brooklyn, some crazy from Baltimore thought it'd be okay to come up and kill two cops just because they were cops, because there was this hatred being spewed that cops were bad, right? And so I went to them on Christmas Eve, 2014, on Christmas Eve, and I told them the Tunnel Towers Foundation going to pay off their mortgages. We never paid off a mortgage up to December 20th, 2014. We never paid a mortgage off. We never were doing that. But when we heard that these two police officers were killed, and I heard that they were worried about how they're going to stay in their homes, we took that on. And I went to the homes and I told them we're going to pay off the mortgages. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the money. Had to go raise the money. 10 days, we raised enough money. You know what mortgages are in New York. But we raised enough money to pay off their mortgages and to renovate their homes. Why am I telling you this? Because soon after it, there were 5 cops killed in Dallas, Texas. A sniper killed 5 police officers. They came with me to Dallas to lay a wreath at the police department and to talk to the 5 widows, the 5 families, for condolences. Detectives Lou and Ramos's widows came with us. So and so many of them do that. They help us spread the message and to let them know that we don't just pay off the mortgages. We want these families to be part of my family, the Siller family, the Tunnel to Towers family, and we're with them forever. It's a lot more than just paying off mortgages. Not that that's a test.
And now you've paid off 1,200 mortgages. And I know even on the anniversary of 9/11, there were another 20 that were gifted. So it's an incredible outreach and what you're doing that has expanded across the country, not just in the New York metro area. Obviously, it's everywhere now. But the one thing I want to ask you is something that's a pretty big problem today, and that are the kids that are growing up who are not alive when this tragedy happened. And everyone always says never forget, but there is an issue in this country today about the younger generations not being aware of what happened. So how do you combat a problem like that? And what's your opinion on what's going on with the youngsters today who really need to know what happened on 9/11?
But we know they're not teaching it, or they're not teaching it correctly in schools. So we do what we can do. So what do? We have on our website, t2t.org, we have curriculums for K through 12. You can do it as a parent, you could do it as a teacher, you could do it as a school, you could do it as as a city, or you could do it as a state. You can download it and teach your kids what happened on 9/11. We created this whole curriculum. We had so many people. I forget the number, and I don't want to make up a number, but tens and tens of thousands of people on 9/11 this year that downloaded our curriculum. to teach their students. So, and I have a tractor trailer that drives all across America. It's a 93-foot tractor trailer that opens up on hydraulics to 1,100 square foot museum that holds 9/11 artifacts and with firefighters or police officers that fought the battle of Ground Zero to tell the story of what happened. We go to schools all over America, so we are doing that, and we have a speakers bureau of hundreds and hundreds of first responders who, once again, lived the day of 9/11, that go around to schools and anywhere. Anybody who asks us for someone to come speak at there, could be a business, could be a school, could be anything, could be at a ball field to address ball players. We send these great heroes who lived that day to talk about the stories of 9/11. So we're working hard at it.
Well, we know you're very busy, and I want to just finish up today with you with baseball. I know that you have a large family, and is it Mets or Yankees?
90% of my family are Met fans. We do have a couple strays for sure, but they still root for the Mets when their Mets are on. So we don't let any haters. There's no haters.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah,
There shouldn't be.
I met your grandson when we were shooting with Mike Piazza up at City Field, and what a passion he has for a game. And I understand he's a really, really good athlete as well.
He's a really good athlete. He's just turning 12, so he's going to get a nice one more little league year in there, and he hit his first home run this year too. So,
Well, you got to introduce him to Terry. You got to introduce him to Terry.
Yeah, that's who I want to introduce. He's a ball player. I have four grandsons. They're all the three of them involved in sports. One is only a 4-year-old, although I have catches with him all the time. I still have my glove in my car. Every time I'm with any of my kids, I get the glove out, and boom, we're having a catch right away. But my 4-year-old grandson just broke his arm yesterday, so he's going to be, well, because he's crazy. He has two older brothers, a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, that he thinks he could do the same things, but he's full of life, and I love it. But I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me this opportunity to address your listeners, your viewers, and the Met fans who've played. My brother, once again, he had season tickets. I have the seats from Shea Stadium where my brother used to go all the time. I own those 4 seats that he had, and he loved the Mets. And right now he's smiling because he pays attention to everything because he's opening up all these doors for me all the time. He's smiling down, and he's praying that the Mets win 10 out of the next 12.
Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Yes, please.
Well, that's Frank. That's I will tell you, they're going to get in. First of all, they're going to get in the playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind. So that's when they see some of those guys, some of those players tune into this. When they see it, they'll play a little bit harder. I can tell you.
Well, let's hope so. I'm
All
sure
right,
they do, and they are playing hard. That's for sure.
We appreciate it. The run is this weekend in New York City, t2t.org, $11 a month. Please go there, donate, and join Terry Collins and the thousands and thousands of other people that will be running and walking in this incredible event. We all hope to see you there. Frank, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Frank.